Hello and welcome to For Your Reconsideration, the film podcast that stands in the crystal maze dome of cinema, ready to grab for movie glory, waiting for Richard O'Brien to bellow, "Will you start the fans, please?" I'm Robin here with Simon and James. How are you, boys?
Have you been watching Challenge TV, Rob?
I haven't.
You went with the 90s host, not Richard Ayoade, who's the new host of Crystal Maze.
No, we're going full original here. We're going full original. How are you, folks? It's been ages and ages since I've seen you, boys.
Good. Surviving another summer.
Solidarity.
Get the brats back to school and we'll all be good.
And Si, you've just come back from holiday. Was it like yesterday or 2 days ago or something?
Yeah, a couple of days ago. I've been sunning it in Italy, and it was jolly nice. Spent a lot of money though. Got back, and my bank balance has been rinsed. But yeah, it was great. It was very good. Didn't get tan though. I don't really tan with my Irish white skin.
I think James, you go very brown, don't you?
I mean, we've discussed this before, but I used to, but I don't go out in the sun as much now due to my being in a family of day walkers. So yeah, I used to go a lovely mocha, but yeah, I'd have to go and sit in the sun by myself, to be honest, which isn't too bad on the odd occasion.
And you've had a lovely holiday as well, I believe.
Yeah. We went for a little mini break in this country where it rained predictably. But yeah, we had our summer holiday back in June, so we're all good.
Delicious. Oh, sorry, weird way to describe a holiday. Sorry about that. I apologise for that. Lovely stuff. So while the summer has rolled on, what have you guys been watching?
Well, in the spirit of half term, I went on a cinema trip with my son to watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem.
Oh, I forgot that's out. I need to go and see that.
So Mutant Mayhem, so energetic and sporting a truly eye-popping animation style, the film is an irreverently funny slice of turtle power. I would argue that it has too many characters, which makes it a little chaotic for younger viewers to track, but there is so much enjoyable comedy-based action that is bound to delight turtle heads, both young and old, but mainly old. I mean, I liked it way more than my son did. I was like, how cool was that? When we came out, he goes, yeah, it's all right.
Oh, no! All these like nostalgia films, like just made for people our age, like Indiana Jones and Turtles. The kids just do not give two shits about.
Yeah, right. We even went into the toy store afterwards, and it had like a whole Turtles display of all the new action figures, completely the same as how they appear in the film. And he's like, "Oh, he was quite good," pointing at Michelangelo. And I was like, "What's he called again?" He's like, "Don't know." Like, oh, look, there's Hot Wheels over there. He's more of a Mario kid, to be honest. Like, he really
Mario,
yeah.
Mario.
Mario and Pixar are his go-to.
Mario.
Can I jump in at this point, because I went to the cinema with my young lad as well to watch Ninja Turtles.
Oh yeah,
Brilliant.
Mutant Mayhem. I flipping loved it.
It was good. Well, it is good. It's for sure.
Yeah,
really
I really loved it. And it shows there's like huge life in this franchise, still. And so my boy had a more enthusiastic reaction, I think, actually, James. He really loved it, to the point that when we got home after we'd seen the movie, he wanted to watch another one, so we watched Secret of the Ooze.
Superb. Vanilla Ice.
He couldn't get over it. like the moment I said, look, I was that embarrassing dad, while watching it, like, look, he's about to get the beat. And when he gets the beat, all bets are off. And then Vanilla Ice got the beat, and suddenly it's like, yo! And woof, we're away. We are at the races. So yeah, no. Sorry to go back to I thought it was fabulous. I really hope there's another one after this. The humour was so good.
Is it? It's done pretty well, hasn't it? It's done pretty well, I think.
Not,
So I'm pretty
not
sure.
sure. They think it's lost quite a bit of money because none of the actors have been able to promote it, or it hasn't done as well as they projected. And I'll be honest that when we went, there was 6 other people at the 10 screening on the first week of half term. Same
here. A handful of people. It was weird.
That's a shame. It's done well critically, at least, I think.
Yes.
But who made it? Is it a Sony or?
It's Seth Rogen's company have made it, and he co-wrote it.
But who did the animation?
I imagine it's Sony. He does a lot of work with Sony, but it's actually his production house who's put the project together.
Wow, amazing! Yeah, I knew Seth Rogen had a big involvement in it, but it's just because that animation style is really, it's quite Spider-Verse-y, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not. It's a step down from that, I would say, but it's good. It works. All I would say about it is that there are. I mean, when they say mutant mayhem, they mean it. There's a dozen characters that you need to try and keep track of.
Ray Fillet. No, but you're absolutely right. It is on the animation style. I thought it was it was a bit like they'd looked at Spider-Man, those Spider-Man animated movies, and gone, well, that is just such a massive benchmark. We need to try and do our own thing here.
Yeah.
And but we don't have the same or budget or whatever. And I really loved the touches because it was proper sketchbook. It felt like a sketchbook that someone had watercolored and it popped to life. It was definitely in that. And it took me about a minute and a half of the start of the film to go what am I seeing here? And then I vibed with it and I was all right.
Yeah.
But it is a real I just think we're dead lucky, aren't we, that we've got movies that look like this and the Spider-Man movies and now I was looking at I know that it wasn't reviewed that great, but the Super Mario Brothers movie, the animation in it was absolutely next level.
Yes.
So we are so lucky with the way these things look these days.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think animation in particular is in a real golden era. I think it's just all this and the Spider-Man thing, as we said, and Mitchell's versus Machines was amazing.
Oh,
as well.
yeah.
And the Pixar stuff is going off and doing sort of creative stuff with how they're doing animation now. It's not just that traditional CG, 3D animation. There's a bit more artistry thrown in the Pixar stuff. It's just really great at the minute when it comes to animation. Yeah, I need to see it. I need to see if it's still on.
Oh man, you'd love it.
Is it as good as when Leonardo and Raphael have a fight in the rain, though?
That one's terrible. You
shut up, James.
Honestly.
It's amazing.
But having said that, it's mad. So when I type in Turtles, I typed in Turtles movies on on Just Watch and on IMDb. TMNT does not feature anywhere.
No, of course it doesn't.
It's absolutely dead.
Good job I've got it on Blu-ray then.
Same here.
Criterion Collection, TMNT.
But seriously though, for guys who did enjoy TMNT, this is night and day.
It's
quality.
A bit of a step up, I would say.
Yeah, it certainly looks.
I think you're being very mild.
A visual step up, if nothing else.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I just can't wait. Really
sorry,
can't
James.
wait
What else did you watch?
Yeah, so something a little bit more grown up. So I went to see Talk to Me. Have you guys heard of this movie?
Is this the horror one?
What is it again?
So it's basically some teenagers find an embalmed hand with all sorts of crazy writing all over it, and if you shake hands with it, you can talk to the other side.
Right.
Oh my god.
So it's
you went to the movies to watch this?
Oh, of course, yeah. So it's a classic cursed horror MacGuffin movie with more. Can I do my review, please?
Sorry.
So it's a classic cursed horror MacGuffin movie with more on its mind than just scares, though it is really creepy. it uses well-trodden fuck around and find out setup to delve into themes.
Stick that in total film.
Yeah, I mean, that is the setup for the movie. It's like, well, if you're going to do this, it's going to end in tears, basically. So, you probably shouldn't, but teenagers are going to be teenagers, I suppose. So it uses this setup to delve into themes of addictive behaviour, all-encompassing grief, and social media clout chasing, yet remains entertaining despite the potentially heavy subject matter. As a horror movie, it absolutely rips, displaying a surprisingly funny streak along with some chilling set pieces to offset its explorations of trauma and loss. It's a great time at the movies that establishes the Philippou siblings and stars Sophie Wilde as talents to keep a close eye on. The best horror movie I've seen all year. I thought it was fantastic.
Oh, seriously? Is it those dudes, the Raka Raka guys?
They established themselves on YouTube making shorts to begin with, and it's an Australian film. I think A24 are distributing it.
Yeah.
But it was an Australian production with all Australian cast. And,
it's a really good news story as well, then.
Yeah, fantastic,
Young guys who started making movies on YouTube and then, boom, here we are.
Absolutely, yeah, and they're really talented from if this is anything to go by, and it's a really good movie. I would highly recommend.
Yeah,
Nice.
it sounds great. I've sort of seen posters of it and stuff, but I didn't really know what it was about or anything like that. But no, it sounds good.
Not too scary. It's more just unsettling and creepy than anything. It's not like those Blumhouse ones from like in the early 2010s where it's just like quiet, 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 bang. It's more.
Yeah.
It's got more in common with say something like The Babadook or Hereditary than those types of movies. It's not a jump scare fest.
Cool.
No, that's good because I love
cool.
the Babadook for that. Like you see, obviously it did really well in terms of critics and stuff, and a lot of people raved about it. But a lot of people moan about the Babadook. You see it on Reddit, and they are the forever like posts going like, "What is a film that everyone loved but you really hated?" And then everyone's like the Babadook, and a lot of people don't like that film.
It's because it got stuck with that elevated horror tag, isn't it? Which is a bullshit tag, and that's got nothing to do with the filmmakers or the film itself. I think it's just people like, oh, it thinks it's smarter than it is. No, it's just that director's take on a horror movie, and then somebody else in the media went, oh, this is elevated horror. It's like, no, it's just a horror film.
Yeah. But no, I've
never heard that expression before.
You never heard that expression before?
No. Never. I just.
Get
it's
Out
like...
and The Babadook got labelled as elevated horror, and Hereditary as well.
Yeah. Ari Aster's stuff kind of kicked it off really with that elevated horror thing, and then other films got caught in the sort of whirlwind of it all.
Right.
Because
and it's just horror, but maybe more. It's not as much about gruesomeness or as commercial as some other horror ideas. That's all it needs. It's just something
like,
that twats say to make themselves seem self-important.
It does sound that way because, because there's so much stuff that I could think is elevated horror in that sense. Like something that isn't necessarily just splat and gore.
It's a nonsense term. It's an absolute.
It is a nonsense.
I'm not even going to go near that.
Like say, there's a lot of horror films have been doing it for years. Like say, Candyman is one. Like you watch that original Candyman, and it's like that's not really that scary. It's really creepy. And then what it's really about, because when you're a kid and you watch it, you kind of miss the subtext of it. And then when you watch it now, you're like, holy shit, this is a really clever, smart movie that's like really deep.
This is about the gentrification of urban areas.
This horror feels elevated. But yeah, it's balls to that term. It's just a horror film.
That feeling when you're watching a horror film and you're like, is this good?
Yeah. I mean, I think that all the time, but I like that genre anyway. So I just think it's really dismissive of other films that are just there to be sort of crowd pleasing. That they can't be. They're seen as lesser, and horror directors wouldn't go in for that. That's why I was really trying to avoid that. That term while I was reviewing.
No, it's good because I've learned a lot there, which I enjoyed. Thank you.
Educational, Rob.
So I just
Educational
realised-
podcast. What's up?
Look. Speaking of which, like just behind me, so I'm sat on an orange sofa. It looks like a great big orange butt behind me on the sofa.
Yeah,
You see that?
No, it's just off my camera.
I can see it. Yeah.
Just
Oh,
like
yeah,
a
so
great
yeah, it
big
does, yeah.
orange butt. Huge butt. Yeah. Anyway,
And from,
Si, what about you?
and from elevated horror to butt jokes.
So it's Donald Trump bending over in Rob's house.
Trump's butt. It is.
Before I went on my holiday, I managed to tick off the two big summer releases in Barbie and Oppenheimer. Both predictably excellent. Like, loved them both. Just
Oh yeah, I
really,
saw
really
Barbie
good.
as well. It was good.
Yeah, but Barbie was just really, really good. Really funny. And then Oppenheimer is just insanely good. It's just like next level brilliance from Nolan. I need to watch it again though because the cinema was full of absolute douchebags. Walking into the film, like first half an hour was just people coming into the screen, which was just like really, really irritating. But no, I also watched yesterday because I was wanting to watch all the Mission Impossible films before finally going to watch Dead Reckoning. But no, I was a bit soul crushed by Dead Reckoning. I have
Oh,
to say.
get out.
Sorry to
Just get
report.
out.
No. I just was like watching it, going like, I've seen all this before.
Right. Tom Cruise risked his life for that film.
well,
He
Well-
jumped off a
Don't.
cliff on a motorbike.
I do have to say, it was the ending was quite ruined for me because I did. I think I mentioned on the last record. I did work on one of the behind the scenes stunt videos for Mission Impossible for this Dead Reckoning. So I'd seen it all. So I'd seen the bike jump and seen the train thing, and really impressive. Like, you know, Hayley Atwell is actually climbing around a fucking locomotive and things like that, which is just insane. And all that stuff is obviously brilliant. But I was watching the film and I was just going, I just feel like I'm going through all this exposition just to see Tom Cruise do a stunt, and the others don't feel like that. And I was just a bit. It's not bad. It's not bad. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying in terms of in comparison to the other Mission Impossible films, which are among my favourite action movies, this one was just a bit a bit disappointing for me.
It's definitely a step down from the previous two. We really enjoyed it when we went to see it. But I get what you're saying. I think the story got away from them a little bit, and I think it's almost got a little bit of the Fast and the Furiouses about it in terms of the cast is getting so big now, and there's so many returning characters from previous installments, and you're like, who's that again? Sorry, what are they doing here? We're going to have to start killing some of these people.
Still no Jeremy Renner though. Jeremy Renner just disappeared out of that franchise with no explanation whatsoever.
He's sulking.
Yeah.
Sulky Renner. This is supposed to be mine.
Again, probably would probably see it again. But at the minute, it's only ahead of Mission Impossible 2 on my rankings of the Mission.
Right,
Impossible.
get out. No.
But anyway, but
It's
the
third bottom on mine. I think it's better than Ghost Protocol, but not better than the other ones.
Which one's Ghost Protocol now?
The Burj Khalifa one, not because it's bad, but because it just peaks with that sequence, and then it ends with Tom Cruise battering an old man in a multi-story car park.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I always forget about that stupid car park. It's a bit rubbish. That
Calling that set a multi-story car park.
I mean, it's a fancy multi-story car park.
It is,
but it is
yeah,
a
yeah,
multi-story
yeah.
car park.
You're right,
and he is
you're right, it
battering
is.
an out-of-shape old man.
But I think the thing that's really been sort of dominating my attention has been The Bear on Disney Plus over FX
yes.
in America. Just really late to this party, but fucking hell, it's brilliant. It's so good. It's really like in that world of everything's really chaotic and shouty, and everyone's talking over each other all at once, and it's just all a bit sort of full on and mad. But it's just so well shot and really beautiful, and they make Chicago look like this incredible sort of food capital of the world, and it's really well written. Like all the characters are also well rounded. Like they're as much as an arsehole as they are a nice person. You know, it's not just a binary. Here's a bad guy. Here's a good guy. Here's the it's all very real world stuff, and it's brilliant. It's really, really good.
I loved season 1. We're going to start season 2 this week, I think. But I decided to watch Hijack on Apple TV Plus instead, which was just basically EastEnders meets Air Force One.
Is that the real time Idris Elba?
Yeah. I mean, it was fine. It was pretty watchable, but I was just like, if this had been like a 2-hour movie, this would have absolutely ripped. But because it's got to be in real time and spread out over 7 hours, it's like, it's like, what are we doing here, lads? Like, we used to make 3 of these a year in the 90s. Like, come on.
Yeah. So, speaking of 90-minute aeroplane films, I saw Red Eye as well the other week. So funny seeing Cillian Murphy just horribly miscast as this villain with big floppy hair. But yeah, don't make films like that anymore. You definitely don't make films like that. But yes, I'm sure everyone has seen The Bear, but if you haven't, I definitely implore you to do so. It's fucking brilliant. It's very good. What have you been watching, Rob?
Not The Bear. I've only heard of it recently, so I will be... Because that feels like it's a bit of a water cooler. It's got a bit of a water cooler vibe to it. But, it's transcending a little bit. People are talking about it this is a bit of a game changer in certain ways. So I would really like to see that. Obviously, I've mentioned Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, and Secret of the Ooze. Secret of the Ooze holds up, by the way.
We could still do that on the pod, so we should say that we, however many years ago now, we did cover the original.
We did. We did.
Yeah. So maybe we should do the secret of that there ooze at some point.
I think we should.
Not TMNT from the 2000s though, because that's incredible.
God damn it!
All it takes is one person to go to bat for it, and anyway. I also watched 2 elevated horror films.
Oh right.
Well, I don't know. Just using a phrase that you guys use. I watched The Purge, the original Purge.
Oh, with Ethan Hawke.
Yeah. Still, I know we talked about it when we did one of the Purge movies on the pod.
The Purge Anarchy with Frank Miller.
That's the one. The second one, yeah. It's still supreme. Like that setup is just so disturbing. And I actually think of The Purge, the first Purge movie is a really strong movie. Actually, and no wonder they got a load of sequels out of that concept as well. It's one of those golden, once-in-a-lifetime concepts that come along, and you can go like, every time you need to do a new take on it, you can just go, well, what if we did that again, but from this perspective, or that perspective, or what if we did this? And it starts like the first Purge movie has got a hint of Home Alone about it.
It's just a home invasion thriller, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Essentially, it really is.
Budget,
with
wasn't it?
sick weirdos who come in.
Yeah.
The other one I watched...
4 sequels and a TV show. It's mad.
It is amazing, that. The other horror thing I watched, elevated horror thing, sorry, was The Others. The Nicole Kidman movie.
That would be elevated horror.
I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that.
I did a great big cry at one of the reveals in that movie.
Yeah, very upsetting film.
So the whole tone of it was supremely upsetting, and I'd seen it in the cinema, and then I wasn't prepared for remembering how upsetting it was. Christopher Eccleston, or the quiz team name Quiztopher Eccleston, appeared in it, and he was brilliant. But no, it's a really good movie, and so nicely made as well.
Produced by Tom Cruise, amazingly.
Oh,
which is I think the last thing they did together before El Divorcio.
Sorry, I thought it was like a festival in Spain. So yeah, that's what I've been watching. Watched a couple of Netflix bits and bobs, but nothing that really caught my eye in terms of wanting to say or talk about it. I just, usually at night, I go to bed and Mrs. P is watching, 24 Hours in A&E or Ambulance Time. I'm sure that's not a real show, but it feels like it.
Ambulance.
it's just like just people being hurt in real life, and then I just don't know how it happens. Like, so if I'm injured and some geezer's there with a camera and some producer, and they say like, can we come in? I'm like, no, you can't.
Can we say,
Get out.
just
My
sign
hands
this
rang,
release form?
Get out right now. I'm so sorry. No, I've got 80 broken bones. Of course I'll sign your waiver. I don't know how these things happen. I've got no idea. But also, God love my wife and God love everyone that enjoy this kind of stuff. But how this is entertainment, I've got absolutely no idea. And if I see one more, like, we got called in the middle of the night and we had to go out, and Doreen had fallen down the stairs again. What is going on?
They're always narrated by
So
some like
depressing, it's awful.
northwest guy, aren't they? Like some like Jez Quigley from Coronation Street.
They
or
are.
Max Beasley. Or something.
Max Beasley's in Hijack.
He is in
Is he?
Hijack. Yes, he is. Yeah.
So good.
Fucking Max Beasley. Max Beasley from Manchester. If you didn't notice, yeah, we get it, Max. Fucking hell.
But yeah, so nothing else to report actually. But I would like to take us on more of a.
God, I didn't. I
what's
thought
the
you were.
word
I
now?
thought we weren't going to go there. I was a bit worried then.
I'm so sorry. I'm taking us there. But more of a reflective, informative trip to Bigfoot Corner.
Elevated Bigfoot Corner.
We're going elevated Bigfoot. You guys, you both said it at the same time. This is a wavelength, boys.
Trampling each other trying to get to the same punchline.
Bigfoot Corner.
I'm so excited for this.
In elevated Bigfoot Corner, we've got. I just wanted to shout out about. It's taken 18 months, and I'm so excited. But we've just had a release date confirmed for Expedition Bigfoot. Expedition Bigfoot. Sorry, Exhibition suggests they found him.
You would still go to Exhibition Bigfoot. To
I
be fair.
definitely would.
Yeah, and if it was Exhibition, it would mean that they'd found him, and obviously they haven't. So.
This is true. Also, this is possibly why it's taken 18 months to cut this series into shape, is because...
Oh, the producers on that show must be sweating bullets. Like, how are we going to do this? We've got a 10-episode order. What are we
12 episodes
12?
of an
I
hour
can't do
each.
another
Like-
3 episodes of Bushes. Oh.
Well, it's back, guys, so don't you worry, and I will be filling you in on everything.
Absolute snake oil salesman, this one.
The other thing I wanted to bring up,
Bloody grifters.
it's just, so it's obviously like, are you guys familiar, right, with Bigfoot erotica?
Oh yeah, it's one of my go-tos.
So it is needless to say, it is a massive market.
It's
Bigfoot
not
erotica.
a massive market. Bigfoot on his own isn't a massive market.
I'm telling you, James. I'm telling you. Right. So
Is this where your career
can-
pivots? Into
Moving out of crime writing now, I'm going into sexy Bigfoot.
sexy bit. Well, so I obviously I've done my like any sort of what do they call them? Sorry, actually, in the Bigfoot world they call them researchers. So like any researcher, I've done my due diligence here.
Not exclusive to the Bigfoot world.
So these are
Right, before you go any further, do you really want to put this out to the public who will be listening to this podcast that you've been doing your Bigfoot erotica research? Think about those words put together.
I think anyone who knows me will have assumed this has been done already. So, would you like some titles? Some successful titles
Please.
of Bigfoot
please.
erotica?
Go on.
All right.
Are these films?
No, these are books.
Oh, right.
Okay. So, with an average rating of 3.4 out of 5, and 46 reviews, seduced by Bigfoot and ravaged by the Yeti, the secret adventures of a fertile housewife.
Optioned by Lance Henriksen.
Old MacDonald had a Bigfoot.
My God.
Babyish. One for the
Babyish,
kids.
yeah. Tracked by Bigfoot, steamy monster erotica. 50 Shades of Furry.
Oh my God.
Seduced by Bigfoot 2, the continuation of the most erotic adventure with the most well-endowed beasts.
That sounds like something from Harry Potter.
Big Daddy Bigfoot, my true tale of submission under an alpha Bigfoot. Bigfoot Bang Bang.
They're not very catchy, these titles.
That's the title.
They're all a bit long, aren't they?
I don't know. Sorry. Seduced by Bigfoot and ravaged by the Yeti 2. Carried away by Bigfoot.
Fucking hell.
Bigfoot lover. Boned by Bigfoot. It's quite maybe.
Straight to the point.
Mated to Bigfoot. Bigfoot and the biologist. Sex with Bigfoot. 2 big feet, 1 girl. What is this? Bride of Bigfoot. Broken in by the Bigfoot gang.
Stop!
Oh my God! Right. These are all the most successful. He's even bigger where it counts. Paranormal Bigfoot lesbian threesome erotica.
If anyone has to check your laptop for something, Rob, I'd be a bit worried.
Honestly,
It's such a shame that we couldn't submit this episode for the independent podcast.
I know. Carrying Bigfoot's baby, wild fun in the forest. Billionaire Bigfoot and the Busty Babes. Right, but I want to finish. I mean, you can imagine, you can picture where this is going. This is a huge market, right? So there is a book called Bigfoot Bait. How else would you catch Bigfoot? And obviously the front cover is quite suggestive. I.e., you're going to use
big titties.
Right, so how much do you think a paperback of this is being sold for?
$2.99
on Prime.
It's either really cheap or it's because it's so scarce, it's super expensive, like those Steve Bruce crime novels that nobody can afford anymore.
Yes, yeah. So seriously, Bigfoot Bait by Lear Key. How else would you catch Bigfoot? Suggestive. £195 on Prime for a paperback copy.
They're scarce, Rob. That suggests that they're not very popular, but they're rare.
Collector's items.
Just before we finish, Bested by the Bigfoot, Gonzo Bigfoot, a love story, Bigfoot's Vow, Bigfoot's Captive. Wow, Bigfoot's Captive is Bigfoot and Centaur erotica. Let It Happen to Loving a Bigfoot, Living a Life. Sheesh.
Shame there's not a British one called Bigfoot Bollock.
Brood Maiden for Bigfoot, I don't know what that means. Bride of Bigfoot the morning after. Sheesh. This is guys, we need to get in on this. We do. And that, ladies and gents, is Bigfoot Corner.
Bigfoot Corner.
Just imagine, come with me on this journey for a moment. Just imagine this is someone's first episode of this podcast.
I know. Sorry, I keep going down the list to less success. No, actually, these are really successful ones. Bigfoot and the BBW.
Right.
And then just a classic, Bigfoot's gay. That's just the name of the book, Bigfoot's gay.
Oh, God.
Claimed by the Snow Beast, a fertile paranormal short. And it's got a pregnant woman on the front. That is so unsettlingly awful. Amish Bigfoot. Amish Bigfoot.
That's not erotica, that's just religion choice.
And this is this is a bad one. Bigfoot's new mate, reluctant creature erotica. He doesn't want it. Doesn't want any part of this. He's ambivalent to the whole.
We're out of the corner. Enough.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, no, we got to stop this now. Right, okay. Oh, broken by Bigfoot. Ravaged by handsome Sasquatch fireman. from the Hot Cryptids with Sexy Jobs series.
How did he get a job on the Fire Force?
I'm going to say the front cover is absolutely sensational. I'm copying it and sending it to you immediately. Right, we need to move on from this. This is just it's got painful, I feel. Oh. Right, so whose pick was it? How did you come back? I don't know how we come back. Whose pick was it this week?
Oh, it's mine, but I can't. I need to dry the tears.
Have
from
you
my
got the
eyes.
cover?
Oh, just.
Worst thing you'll ever see. It's a baboon's head.
Ravaged by handsome Sasquatch fireman. Hot cryptids with sexy jobs. Oh, God.
That's a series.
Oh, it's
I
too
can't
much for me.
deal. I can't deal.
I thought
Oh
that
my
was
God.
Mila Kunis on the front.
Right,
Oh, jeez Louise. Oh.
right. Phew, sheesh. We need to discuss. We need to get back in the game here. How do we do it? Whose pick is it?
It's mine.
It was you, Simon. Was
Speaking of sexy Bigfoots, well, Ian McShane. That's a good segue from.
Sasquatch.
there we go. Yeah, great segue.
So, when a wannabe Evel Knievel learns of his stepfather's terminal illness, he takes it upon himself and his merry band of idiots to raise the funds needed for a heart transplant so he can finally kick his ass. Let's grab our fake moustaches, rev those mopeds, and harness the soul of an eagle. This is Hot Rod. Again, speaking about Bigfoot.
What's up, little riders? Jump in the public pool tomorrow. Tell your friends. That's just a sample.
Good luck.
Don't worry, Denise. I've done this before.
So, what are you supposed to be?
A stuntman.
Wow.
My safe word will be whiskey.
You mean whiskey?
What?
I just don't get why you're saying it that way.
Why I'm saying what way?
Forget it.
I will forget it. Whoa, whiskey! Whiskey! Oh! Hey, everybody. We have a new crew member today, Denise. So I thought it'd be fun if we all went around and said a little something about ourselves. I like to party.
I like to party.
No, Dave, I just said that I party.
I like to party.
No.
I like to party.
Okay, nobody parties but me.
Yeah, just Rod.
Yes.
And me.
Sweet.
Oh my God, shut up.
Hey, Rod, maybe you shouldn't fight Dad this week.
Relax, Kev. I'm gonna win this time. I did like 40 crunches yesterday.
Get ready to meet your maker.
Oh, God! We hadn't even started yet!
I just had a great idea.
One big jump, gentlemen. The biggest jump this town's ever seen. Let's party. If I'm gonna jump 15 buses, my body's gonna have to be in top physical form. Do we reinforce the takeoff ramp?
No, we didn't have time.
Cool. Oh! I've already drafted a rough schedule of exercises that will help us take things to the next level.
You're a terrible stuntman.
What?
You're a terrible stuntman.
I'm just kidding. I can hear you. It was just really mean.
From Paramount Pictures.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a jump for the ages. The moment we've all been waiting for. He's going in circles!
Andy Samberg.
Who wants to see me doing big stuff?
Hot Rod.
All great men have mustaches.
Yeah, but real men actually grow them, huh?
You know I have a hormone disorder!
So, Hot Rod. I mean, already from the trailer there, the music in this film is a complete disgrace in terms of quality. But why bring Hot Wad? Why bring Hot Rod to us today? More Bigfoot stuff there. Why bring Hot Rod to us today, Si?
Why did I bring my Hot Rod to you today?
Your
No,
words, not mine.
as I mentioned on the last record when I said we'd be doing this, I just think Andy Samberg is absolutely brilliant, and his Lonely Island friends are just. They have this particular brand of comedy that is just a real sweet spot of absurdity and slapstick, but is also quite wholesome as well, and really inoffensive. And I just think it's just right up my street, really, this comedy. It's stupid, but also, I think, really smart. I think a lot of people may disagree with that. But we already covered Popstar, so this film has been floated around the Pod Dojo WhatsApp group for a while. So I figured it was time. We hadn't done a full-on comedy for a while, so get Andy Samberg back on the pod. And it's only 85 minutes long, so I just wanted to watch a nice quick one.
Oh, it's been an absolute beaut. Cool. So, James, what's your relationship with Hot Rod?
So, this, I believe, would be a love film rental back in the day. So, through the post,
I think the same
receive
for
a
me,
DVD.
actually.
And yeah, this is probably what introduced me to Samberg and the Lonely Island crew. And I was sort of drawn to it as well because it had Bill Hader in it, who's obviously in Superbad. I don't know if Superbad had come out at that point. I probably saw this after I'd seen Superbad.
I would have thought so.
Yeah.
When was this? 2007?
Yeah.
I would have thought it was after Superbad. Oh, same year.
Yeah, but I probably saw Superbad first, and then this is probably the first time I saw Danny McBride in anything as well. So like the supporting cast is like just blown up into like two of the best comedy guys working in television now in Bill Hader and Danny McBride, who both had incredible shows over the last decade on HBO. And yeah, it's just. It was my introduction to these guys because we didn't get Saturday Night Live over here, and particularly back then because YouTube was not as big a thing back in 2007, believe it or not.
Well, I think Samberg was probably the only SNL one who booked that trend with his shorts.
Yes,
with the SNL shorts, because that's I think that's how I first saw Samberg. Was I think Dick in a Box was a year before this.
Really,
and. Actually, I watched that because of Justin Timberlake, and I didn't know who the other guy was. I had no idea who it was, and then just thought that was like one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And then you then realise, oh, it's this group this guy called Andy Samberg and his group, The Lonely Island. Oh, they've made loads of these YouTube videos that have appeared on Saturday Night Live, and so they would have translated over into this country a lot better than the SNL stuff, because aside from the sketchy, they are on YouTube obviously, but we don't really pay any attention to Saturday Night Live. I don't think we always see those people from the films they're in afterwards. Certainly the case with Adam Sandler, definitely that people over here knew who he was from Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, The Wedding Singer, rather than Adam Sandler, the Saturday Night Live sketch guy. Jim Carrey as well. I would say that's
Will
how we got
Ferrell
to know Jim
as well.
Carrey. Will Ferrell. We know them from the films. We don't know them from Saturday Night Live.
It's always weird, wasn't it? Being a British person, you see these when they used to make big comedies that come out in the summers. You see and it's headlined by Will Ferrell, and it's like, are we supposed to know who that is? We've never seen this person before in our lives, and then they turn out to be absolutely hilarious. But yeah, it was always quite a funny thing that in terms of American comedies. It's like, this guy making his lead actor debut. It's like, who is he? Have you just found this guy on the street? Like, you've never seen this person before.
No, it's really interesting, and also quite interesting is this came out the year that we finished university together, didn't it?
Yes, is that 2007? Yeah.
Yeah,
it would have been, wouldn't it?
Yeah, crazy, isn't it? And I had no idea. Around that similar time, I knew I really enjoyed the Lonely Island stuff, so this would be my relationship with the film. Did not know it existed until possibly mid 2010s. I had no idea about it at all.
Same.
And then it got like a little bit of, people talked about it. People said it was rad. and as soon as you mentioned it, Si, it was like, oh, this is another reason why I love doing this podcast, because movies like this come up that I've always wanted to check out but never had the opportunity.
Have you never seen Hot Rod before?
No, this is the first watch. Yeah.
Had you seen it before, James?
Yes, I had. Yeah.
But I'll save any thoughts for further on. So, in terms of qualification, then, James, is it budget and box office?
Yeah. So. I'll let you be the judge of that when I give you the first few words of this sentence. So the film opened at number 9 at the US box office in 2007.
Oh, God.
Woof.
And grossed 5.3 million in its opening weekend. Overall, it bombed in theatres. This is Wikipedia going for this.
Whoa.
Leaving after 68 days, grossing just under 14 million. It picked up a few 100,000 worldwide, including 163,000 here in Blighty, but I can't imagine it having much of a cinema run.
No,
here.
not
I just
at
don't
all.
remember. I mean, 163,000 sounds very small.
Yes. So
when you think about a cinema release.
Absolutely. And then the final total was around 14.3 million against a budget of around 25 million. So,
wow.
Yeah. That's a big old bomb.
It is a big old bomb. I didn't realise that it had bombed so hard. But then I guess of course it did, because, like you, Rob, I'd never heard of this.
No, yeah.
Until
years after. Because if it's the same year as Superbad, I definitely remember going to the cinema to watch Superbad, and that was like Seth Rogen was like the guy, wasn't he? At that point,
yeah.
He had Knocked Up and Superbad in the same year.
Yeah, so he was
it's
like
same year that into it.
Yeah, and the 40-year-old Virgin the year before as well, which he was a supporting actor in.
And if that was the way comedy was sort of pivoting to, where it was that the Judd Apatow style real life stories that are whimsical rather than all out comedies that are just like this, which is just old school slapstick, really stupid humour, really childish humour. So of course it failed. Of course it bombed at that. If that was what, if people were watching Superbads and 40-year-old Virgins and Knocked Up, because Sandberg obviously wasn't a huge name, as big as Rogan back then.
Well, obviously things would change in that regard. But what about the critics? I mean, we've already got qualification in the bag, but did the critics take to Hot Rod?
Well, yeah, so I just sort of touched then on his sort of standing in the world of comedy at that moment, him and Joe Matacone and Akiva Schaffer at that moment in time, and obviously they were sort of a bit more old school compared to what was in the zeitgeist at the time. But I find with comedy and comedians, it's more like music than traditional filmmaking, in that you don't really, if you don't like the comedian, you're not going to like the film they're in. So chances are you're really not going to like the film. So it's almost a bit redundant having the critical fraternity in your papers writing reviews on stuff like this. I don't know. It just seems a bit.
I know what you mean.
Seems a bit weird. Alas, they did, and they were not kind with the film. It currently sits at 39% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 43% on Metacritic. On the way to giving it 0 stars, John Anderson of Newsday said, "A charmless idiot, a clumsy rip-off of Jackass, and one more tiresome exercise in arrested adolescents. Add them up and you have Hot Rod." That's
brutal.
That was a view kind of shared amongst a lot of the sort of American newspaper critics. Claudia Puig of USA Today said, "If you're looking for plausibility, this is not your movie. If you're looking for laughs, this is also not your movie. If you like seeing delusional, overgrown adolescents fall down a lot, then this one's for you." Yes, I do like that, actually. Claudia, I do.
Just happens to be my jam. Thank you.
Yeah.
One, please.
Eos, yeah, one ticket for Hot Rod. A.O. Scott of the New York Times accused it of being a poor man's Eagle versus Shark, and poor certainly describes the quality of the filmmaking, which I disagree. This is not a badly made film. You can not find it funny, fine. Yeah. It's not a badly made film. That is absolute bullshit.
No.
Anyway, That's enough of the bad stuff. It wasn't all bad. Roger Ebert was quite positive, actually, admitting.
Oh, good old Ebes.
Yeah,
Get in there, Ebesy.
He gave it 3 out of 4, saying it's pretty funny all the way through.
There we go. Do you know what? That's fine. Right, if you're a critic, right, we don't even need to review comedies. Just say whether it made you laugh or not, right?
Yeah.
If it made you laugh, then it's good, and if it didn't, then it then it wasn't good, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing else to review. Did it work as a comedy?
This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying at the start of this. Like, it's so hard to for a critic to review a comedy movie because. Yeah,
it's the most subjective of all the genres.
Completely. That's what I'm trying to say. Trying to say with the music thing, where it's like you either like it or you don't. You either like the comedian or you don't.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's the case for other genres. Anyway, who else was there? Kevin Phipps of the AV Club gave it a B-. I don't know who grades them like a paper. Saying Hot Rod keeps a sweet tone that's filled with affection for its characters and enough laughs to become this summer's most mildly recommendable comedy. Bit of a backhanded compliment, but still on the plus side.
That's very funny, to be fair.
Yeah.
It is. It's like can we have a really positive thing, but something we absolutely can't put on a poster?
I would put that on the poster, though.
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
In terms of Britain, it kind of did all right over here. Pete Bradshaw gave it 3 stars, admitting it was quite silly, but still really funny. And Nick I can never say his name. Nick DeSemlian. Semlian? Is that how you say his name?
Nick DeSemlian, yeah.
Yeah, he's in Empire said it was well worth checking out if you like your comedy supremely silly. He also gave it 3 stars. Nice. On the audience side, it's a lot better on the aggregators. It's still not amazing. 64 on Rotten Tomatoes, but an 80 on Metacritic. So
yeah,
and a pretty impressive 3.5 on Letterboxd.
People on Letterboxd love this movie, which is a surefire hit that you've got like a cult movie on your hand, and nobody wants to be a cult filmmaker because essentially it means your movie failed when it came out and didn't make any money.
Yes.
But yeah, if you go through Letterboxd, particularly I was having a look today, and particularly all the people that I follow, there was only a couple of lower ratings. Nearly everyone had it like 4, 4.5, 5.
I was really, really surprised. My favourite review came from someone called Jay, who said, "R.I.P. Stanley Kubrick, you would have loved Hot Rod."
Bold.
That was a
bold assumption.
That was a good one. But
I bet Chris Nolan likes Hot Rod. He's really into the groover, isn't he?
Yeah. He definitely.
I like to keep an eye on the Lonely Island chaps, see what they're up to.
I love how he likes MacGruber. It's the best bit of trivia.
Like the fact that he might be buttering up Sandberg for a massive role in his, next tentpole.
I mean, obviously Sandberg has gone on to have a really good career. Certainly in TV with 9/9 and then all the Lonely Island stuff.
Yeah, the thing is with Sandberg, like I really like him and I enjoy his brand of humour, but he's never had like a successful film where he was the lead in terms of box office. I mean, the closest thing he's probably come to is Palm Springs, but that went straight to streaming because of the pandemic. But like Popstar, which we've discussed on this show previously, failed at the box office and got slammed critically, as did this. And then he's always, whenever a comedy that he's in has done well, it's when he's been a supporting character. But as a TV presence, he's always done incredibly well. Like he had Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which is did like 9 seasons or something like
really
that.
Long running, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Has it finished, Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
I believe so.
I think so, yeah. I think it finished because of... it was coming to an end anyway, but they kind of accelerated it finishing because of all the George Floyd stuff, I think. They were just like, they were like, we can't really make light of the police anymore and say like, and sort of pretend that they're these great people. There was some in that where they were just a bit uneasy with carrying on with the I think that was the case anyway. But yeah, he was in a Judd Apatow one, wasn't he? Was it the one with Paul Rudd in it?
Sandberg.
Yeah, is it This Is 40 where he plays like his gay brother?
No,
And
I
he's
Love
always
You
like,
Man, that is.
I Love You Man.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, he's in I Love. I knew he was in one of
love
those
that movie.
types of. I love that film.
Yeah,
yeah.
and
He
J.K.
was,
Simmons is in there.
yeah,
Hey, I got a best friend. It's your brother Robbie.
Robbie. He goes, "Sup?" And he's just like a normal dude, and he's cracking onto all the straight men in the gym. really funny. But no, I wish it. I think he deserves. Definitely, certainly in terms of the box office returns, he deserves way more because he's so funny.
He's never had the career of like a Seth Rogen or a Paul Rudd or a Steve Carell or a Ferrell, has he? It's like he was sort of being groomed for that with this would have been his breakout, but obviously if it doesn't hit, then it's more difficult then to get those opportunities later on. Obviously they had another go with Popstar as well, and that didn't hit either. So it's
How old is Sam? Because he's always looked really young. He's like in his 40s, isn't he?
Yeah, he's 45, yeah.
Yeah, so like
Sandberg is 45.
Yeah,
he's like 6 or 7 years older than me.
Yeah.
I feel so good about life now.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't look it. He certainly hasn't aged. You know, he's aged really well.
Oh my word! Yeah, 1978. He is 45 years old.
Yeah, that's crazy. I think that's really mad. But him and their sort of jokes and their humour is definitely in our generation of
absolutely
humour.
Sure.
And I can see, like, if I showed this to my dad or whatever, he'd be like, "This isn't funny. Why are you watching this?" And you mentioned Will Ferrell, James. While we're on that, it was supposed to be a Will Ferrell film, wasn't it?
Yes, and you can see that a little bit in it as well. So it's written by Pam Brady, who used to be a writer on South Park, and basically they were like, the script is really good, but it's so obviously tailored for Will Ferrell. Is we're going to keep the story exactly the same, but we're going to rewrite the dialogue to sort of fit in with our sensibilities more, which is why they're not credited as writers on there, because they didn't change anything to do with the story at all. It's just they went back and like sort of gave the dialogue a Lonely Island polish so that they could get away from the Will Ferrellness of it all.
Which is a good, it's good that they did that, and they were allowed to do that, and they left Pam Brady with the credit. Did Pam Brady write Basketball as well? Did she?
I don't think so. No.
Or she wrote, because she was on South Park, wasn't she? She did write.
She wrote the South Park movie
and she did
Parker
Team
and
America
Pasco
as well. Yeah, it is interesting that they did that, but then didn't take a writer's credit as well. Is also pretty good that they didn't do that. And then Will Ferrell's just got a sort of customary exec producer credit on it, hasn't he? And apparently it's the same story as Dirty Work, the forgotten episode of FYI we should have done.
with the late great Norm Macdonald.
Yeah. What? So, you remember where we did a poll and
oh yes, I remember now. Yeah.
And Bob from Franz Ferdinand hijacked the poll, and all his fans.
Hi, Bob.
For Dirty Work, and we were supposed to do it, and then Bob messaged me and was like, "I don't know if it'll hold up today. Maybe don't do that." so we picked another film instead. But apparently the story is exactly the same as Dirty Work, where it's some stupid young idiot of a man is trying to raise money to give his father or stepfather a healthcare or something like that.
Cool. Shall we? I'm just trying to think if there's any other business here, because I think we've talked about most of the stuff that I wanted to bring up, like about Lonely Island and the main players and their cinematic histories. But I think we've really covered that quite a lot.
Do you guys have a favourite Lonely Island track?
Oh God!
What I will say, I don't think. What I love is the fact that I really think they get music because
the production is insane.
The
on
production's
all the songs,
out of hand, and
so good.
they're when they rap, they're outstanding as well.
Yeah, I think Like a Boss is my favourite. Like a Boss is a really good. Promote synergy.
I think like if I in my car, you
Rob,
know, like,
I know
if
which one your favourite is.
Which one?
On a Boat featuring T-Pain.
That's outrageous because the production is insane. The time that it came out in was insane. I'd forgotten about that, James. You're absolutely right. The production's out of hand, but the humour is also out of hand, and the fact that T-Pain gets it is brilliant. Because I flipping love T-Pain. But the can I say, No Homo? I think is an unbelievable song.
But it's
the
like
rapping, the bars are outstanding.
In terms of production, Mother Lover, the tune of Mother Lover is unbelievable.
Yeah, that's right. They're absolutely brilliant. Which is the one where it's about a old people's home that gets out of hand.
I can't
the production values on that are just second to none.
I just think that, and you get it in this film as well. Like, and I said it before, I do think their comedy's really clever. It's a lot smarter than people give it credit for.
Yes.
Because you listen to the lyrics on Lonely Island songs, they're like genuinely hilarious lines.
Yeah.
Like on the I'm a Boat one where he's like, I'm wearing a nautical themed pashmina F.
So many syllables to squeeze in as well.
So funny.
In Popstar as well, those songs, I mean, they're just like out of this world.
The Bin Laden one is...
The Bin Laden song.
The Bin Laden song is outstanding.
The sadness is, you can't share it with many people. You can't go like, guy,
hey kids,
let's check this out. Listen to this. I have had, the one at the end, incredible thoughts, incredible minds. The one with Michael Bolton. It's just such a banger.
Captain Jack Sparrow one.
No, because he drops F-bombs everywhere, Do you know? And he also, like, can we bleep this out, please? Like, it's like, what does he sing? Like, I just went to get So no way is Captain Jack Sparrow getting used. But it's
good songs. Good songs.
Such good songs. And also great love and respect for... Because, like, Michael Bolton, I know he's not popular, like, for young people. He is outstanding. I'm not. Well, we'll play games. But he is outstanding.
Well, no, given the needle drops in this film, I think it's quite obvious that the Lonely Island boys have a love and respect for
exactly
that
that's
type
it.
of music, 80s music.
But if he was going to get them in, like, there's no way in this movie. Like, there's 4 Europe tracks on the soundtrack. There's no way if they thought that they were having the Mickey taken out of them that they'd agree to this. Same with Michael Bolton. He wouldn't have come back after Captain Jack Sparrow and gone like, you know what, those guys really took the Mickey out of me, and I feel demeaned. He wouldn't do that.
But this is why they're so good, is that they're not offensive. They're not taking the piss out of people. They just manage to get the jokes and bring them into the joke rather than pointing and laughing.
Yeah, they're part of the joke.
Which is genius comedy. Surely that's really
of
well.
Of course
really
it is.
Clever, well executed comedy, and they're just brilliant.
No, they are. But you're right. It's a rare thing where like you listen to because their music would probably come under the bracket of comedy albums.
Yes,
but I listen to them like normal music.
Yeah,
like I want to hear that right now. Thank you. And then pick it on Spotify or whatever.
Are you guys familiar with Little Dicky?
No.
No.
So Little Dicky is a satirical white rapper who has his own show on FX called Dave, which is about him making his way in the rap world, and he's sort of like the Lonely Island sort of walk so he could run because he's like a legitimately good rapper.
Right,
and he does the same sort of thing as this. He did a song with Chris Brown called Freaky Friday, which
I did not know about this.
This is
never heard of slight game change going on here.
I've just discovered the show last week, and I've watched 2.5 seasons of it already. It's like one of my favourite things.
Little Dicky.
Yeah.
Wow.
Standing.
Because there
but
was
like
that
if
guy
you go on to, so he has all the comedy like videos like the Lonely Island do, but if he goes into a rap station, he'll actually freestyle on the mic like a legit rapper.
Seriously?
Yeah, and he's got bars, as the kids would say.
Lil Dicky, Lil Dicky Saved That Money featuring Fetty Wap. Absolutely incredible. What? This is going to... David Andrew Bird is his real name.
Yes,
Chris.
and hence his sitcom is called Dave.
Oh, this needs...
And he's just like a nice Jewish boy from a lovely family he's just really good at rapping. And the show is about him.
Dear me, so good. I love how we've not even got near the film yet after about...
I know,
sorry, that's a tangent, yeah. Anyway,
it needed discussing.
The reason I would bring that up is if people are into The Lonely Island, they would probably enjoy Dave, which is streaming on Disney Plus here in the UK.
Nice!
Yeah.
I would definitely be all over it. So I thought... I consider this a companion episode, possibly, to our MacGruber episode.
And the Popstar episode as well.
And of course, the Popstar episode.
It's the final part of the trilogy, all done in the wrong order.
Trifecta. And so what I love about those films is the soundtracks are unbelievably banging. So I listen to the MacGruber soundtrack all the time. When I'm chatting about... it's just unbelievable. This today is now part of that. Like, so I've made a playlist today that's melded the MacGruber soundtrack with this soundtrack. So it's just pure, like, Lonely Island. The Sandberg, Schaefer and Tacome loving. And it starts right from the off with the titles. If I hear an 80s song... Right, here's a question. I know, so this is the most tangential way of starting a film review. Why is it when you're in the cinema and you hear a song, does it sound so much better than when you just hear it normally in your headphones or like on the radio or whatever?
Well, it's because you're in that space, aren't you? And you're cut off from the rest of the world. Also, the sound, if you're in a decent cinema, you've got the real... unbelievable sound system as well. Plus the images as well, I think, enhance.
Yeah.
Because there's certain
the idea that Andy Samberg in a crap stuntman outfit is going to enhance the love of these songs. Si, as someone who works in the business, why is this?
It's elevated Europe, that's what it is.
Yeah. I don't know, but
you get what I mean. Like, you get sometimes when you hear a song in the cinema, it used as part of a soundtrack. You're like, I've never heard it sound that good, and I'm all over the place with how good that was.
Puts it in a different context.
Yeah, and I think it's really important getting music right in films, particularly in comedy. I think, and recently there's this recent trend of and it's what people did when we made short films in uni. This is what people did, is they just try and show their like, oh, I've got a cool taste in music, so I'm going to pick this music track that doesn't fit whatsoever with the thing. It's just a cool song.
There was quite a bit of that, wasn't there?
And that's kind of happened in like modern films, particularly fucking Michael Bay movies. It's just like a non-stop music video.
You leave Michael alone.
No, I know. I fucking loved Ambulance. One of the best films of the last few years. But it's just this weird trend where people are just like... And you get the same songs cropping up all the time.
Yeah.
You don't get that here. You get a lovely set of 80s bangers that they've been really careful to not pick the same songs from Rocky or things like that.
Yeah.
They've gone in the same sort of ballpark, but they've gone, we need to make sure they're not those songs that have been used before. We have to pick like a bit more obscure ones. Yeah. Like
hey
album
guys, have
tracks.
you guys ever heard of Europe?
Yeah. And like, I mean, yeah, obviously we've heard these songs before, but like not in. Then you wouldn't watch the film and go, oh, that was the song from Rocky IV when he does his montage.
Because bear in mind, this film is not set in the 80s at all. It's a contemporary film. It's set in the 2000s.
I love this move. The boldness of this move is incredible.
But it has no contemporary music in it whatsoever. It's all 80s.
It's just brilliant.
But it adds to the comedy, though, doesn't it? It makes it funnier. Because
I had goosebumps a lot watching this. A lot of it was the music.
Yeah, and like we've said, this comedy is very much aimed at our generation who were born in the 80s. Would have listened to that music in the house with our parents or whatever. So it's just pandering to idiots like us, isn't it?
Oh,
basically, yeah.
But it is smart because what they've done is they've selected songs whereby you go, oh, that's kind of cheesy and lame, but it's also a bit of a banger as well, and I would have that on in the car.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. So, yeah, we start with this. We need to go to the film. We start with... it's the setup to a stunt to introduce Rod.
It's so good.
And he puts on his fake moustache and they've got the ramp. And I love that line when... so you've got Andy Samberg is Rod, and he's got Joe Matacone is Kevin, his sort of his half brother, isn't he? And then Bill Hader and Danny McBride are his two friends who sort of make up this foursome, who are just a brilliant. I mean, them two are just incredible in this film.
They really
Bill
are.
Hader
Yeah.
and Danny McBride. And they're there, clearly a bunch of wasters, and they're filming it, and he goes like, "Did you reinforce the reb?" And he's like, "No, we didn't have time." And he's like, "How did you not have time? You're doing nothing else. You're doing absolutely nothing." This is you just get this setup of he's a stuntman, but he's a really shit one. and I was surprised with the Jackass comparisons because it's it's a bit fucking lazy to just go, it's a rip off of Jackass.
I didn't think that
think
once.
it is. I didn't think that at all.
No, I thought it was closer to something like Dodgeball, because in terms of people getting injured in hilariously cartoonish ways is very funny, which is what Dodgeball is. 50% of that film is based on people taking balls to the knackers and such.
Yeah. But it's Jackass didn't invent physical humour. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So 40% of Hot Rod is Rod getting injured doing stunts. 40% is montages with banging tunes. Right? And the other 20% is him trying to have fights with Ian McShane.
That is literally it.
Good ratio.
Yeah.
It's a good ratio.
Yeah. I'm not displeased.
Yeah, it's closer to something like Dodgeball or Old School or something like that with regards to... It's just a lazy comparison. Oh, what? So he's a stuntman, so it must be Jackass. It's like, Jackass, they're actually hurting themselves. It's not...
Yeah.
It's
You're
not
right,
a narrative
that is a really
film.
lazy comparison, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what when I was reading the reviews, quite a lot of them made that comparison in a negative way. And it's just that's just, really lazy.
It's like, have you seen Jackass? It's nothing like this.
Just because it's physical humour, you just you're taking the barest of similarities and then saying it's ripping on. It's like, no, it isn't. The physical slapstick humour has been around since the dawn of film. It's always been there. So to turn around and say that, I just think it's hard to sort of pay any attention to those. I think this is a good example where, as I said at the top of this, critic reviews are kind of redundant on a film like this. There's just no real point of them wasting ink on the paper to write a review on it, because you write for the New Yorker, you're not going to like it. Of course you're not going to like it. It's just not your bag. So to make lazy comparisons like that, I just think it's a bit like do better.
Yeah.
F. Red circle around that. Please see me after
Again,
class.
Do agree.
So Jackass, by that measure, is just a reinvention of Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton. Then is that what we're saying? No, that's not what we're saying.
Well, exactly. They'll all bloody toss themselves off over Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin.
What they were doing was hitting each other on the head with fright. I mean, there's a bit more to it than that, but fair.
Did they roll off a hill for 10 minutes? I don't think they did.
No. Did Buster Keaton ever shove a toy car up his arse and then go for an X-ray? No, he didn't.
Jesus Christ. I think this opening sequence is just a brilliant credit sequence. The music's great, the freeze frames are great, and it just sets it up perfectly. Like they're in this little suburb, just these bunch of lose. Well, I don't like saying losers, but they are.
They are losers.
Yeah, they're just this bunch of like just doing nothing with their days. Apart from Dave does have a job, doesn't he? At the ice rink and the pool. He's got loads of jobs, Dave has. But it's just it's a great opening, and then I just don't think the jokes stop. I think you just get a steady stream of jokes for 85 minutes.
Yeah, I don't think this is the sort of film we need to go through, like, sort of beat by beat.
We don't.
Because, as I say, it has a clear formula. Like, there must be 5 montages in this movie.
So
like,
good.
It puts Sylvester Stallone to shame, doesn't it, really, in terms of the amount of montages that are used throughout this film. But its only objective is to be amusing as often as possible, and that's it. So then we go into a scene where he tries to have a fight with his stepdad. He never acknowledges the fact that Kevin, his stepbrother, is the biological son of his stepfather, who's trying to fight at all times, so he'll respect it.
There's not that idea where it's just like, it's like, you'd never get it because he loves you automatically, but with me I have to earn his love by fighting him. And then obviously
it's so juvenile.
Ian McShane just like brilliant, like kudos to him, and Sissy Spacek as well, like them two being in this film.
They were so good
as the mum and dad, good sports, and Ian McShane's really funny in it as well.
Do you reckon Sissy Spacek, when she's in these like later film roles where she's like making goofy comedies and stuff like that, it's just like, I used to make movies with like Terrence Malick and Brian De Palma. And now I'm trying to console this man-child who wants to beat up my new husband.
Again, this is another exercise in how invested, like the movie lives or dies on how invested these actors are into it and how much they give to it, and they're all in.
Oh yeah,
no one's mucking about. They're all in, which makes it work.
I love what a massive star Ian McShane is in the States, considering that he was just Lovejoy, the antiques dealer here in the UK, and then he got Deadwood and then became like this hard man.
Is it because of Deadwood why he's so big over there?
Absolutely.
I'd never seen Deadwood. I've heard it's very good.
Yeah, he does a lot of swearing in that. Woof, swears like a sailor.
Is it not like written as a poem or something like that? Isn't the script written
it's the foulest language you've ever heard in your life.
No, but isn't it something like the structure of the dialogue is set up like a poem? It's like got stanzas and stuff like that. I'm sure it's Deadwood. There's like a program where they've written it in a way that it's like formed out like a poem or like a traditional way of like a specific way of writing. And that's why all the critics loved it, because they were like, "Oh, this is so clever." But it's just this.
I mean, that might have been
brutal.
Happening. It was just like he was just swearing a lot. There was no rhyming going on.
No, it's not. It's not like that poetry, but like in terms of like the way it was all structured, like in like the syllables and the way how many words each character says or something like that. I don't know. I may have completely made that up. I probably have. Anyway, Ian McShane, he's great.
So, like, when you watch normal things and then you watch a film like this, it takes you a minute to settle in. It takes you a few minutes to settle in somehow. Certainly it does for me, possibly. But the idea that he's trying to earn money for his dad who's dying just so he can beat him up again. His stepdad, sorry.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah. It's like, well, before you die, Frank, I need to kick your ass. And he's like, well, it wouldn't mean anything now because I'm obviously terminally ill. He went, right, well, I'm going to raise the money to fix your heart and then I'm going to beat you to death.
I mean, how do you pitch this in a meeting? How do you pitch this? Like,
that right there is the whole crux, right? You'll know for a fact whether you're going to like this. No. So this moron who has no credentials to be a stuntman whatsoever basically wants his stepfather's respect by beating him to a pulp, but he can't because he's terminally ill, so he's going to raise needs money for an operation to heal his stepfather so he can then batter him when he's at full strength.
But, honestly, lines like that, I feel like they're the ones that are getting missed by people who are saying it's not very funny, because that is a very funny line. I'm gonna get you better so I can beat you. And that's like a constant joke throughout the whole thing, isn't it?
It
He
is.
just can't wait to fight.
He won't
But
be smiling when I murder him.
But that first fight is really funny. And he's trying to, he gets those sticks out, and he goes, oh my god, one of those, and he's like, these are Rhodesian fighting sticks. Rhodesian, of course. And then as he's saying it, he smacks him over the head.
It's good stuff.
So
it just
funny.
gets the job done, and what I like about it most is that Sissy Spacek doesn't even acknowledge that they're scrapping all the time.
Oh no, I love it at the end. She's just like, when they're scrapping.
Should we break them up? Oh no.
Oh, they're fine. They're fine.
They do this all the time.
After one of these moments where it's revealed that obviously he's terminally ill and they badmouth each other again, we have this just sublime moment in the woods
where he goes to his quiet place.
Yeah.
When they basically drafted in either Tony Scott or Adrian Lyne to direct the scene. For the
The lighting is incredible, isn't it?
I know. So what in our group chat we were like, this is shot on the forest moon of Endor.
Yeah.
So I'm a massive fan of Footloose. Always loved that film, and but the hilarity of certain elements of that film are not lost on me at all. So the idea that when he's fed up and he needs to go, this is Kevin Bacon's character, Ren, in that film, because he lives in a town where dancing is banned and he can't, can't just, it's the
huge
most 80s
hit movie
thing
in
ever.
the 80s.
Yeah. He goes to a massive warehouse that has conveniently placed apparatus that allow him to do flips, and he's really, for a high school kid, he's really adept at doing 15-foot flips off stuff and landing on his feet,
like
and
Rod
smoking
Kimball.
and drinking at the same time in a white vest. And the music, so it's Never is the song.
Is it the same song from Footloose in this wood bit?
Honestly, it's the same. Everything. So it's the same song.
It is the same song.
To the point that I think, to a point, it could be a shot-for-shot remake. It really could, because the moment where the music swells like "You got to fly," and there's repeated of a flip, just the editing is out of hand, incredible. Have neither of you guys seen Footloose?
Oh, I have. Yeah, I love Footloose.
I know of Footloose, but I haven't seen it.
So
I knew it was a spoof.
Watch the
of
warehouse scene. Just watch, because it's this, but this is what this is, and it's an unbelievable pastiche on this. And I think it's one of the best pastiches in movies I've seen of a, lovingly giving a nod to something that was totally absurd.
It's got the whiskey and the sing. It's like the only moment he smokes in it as well.
Yeah.
It's got a
no,
sing.
it's the same in Footloose.
And then,
you got to run. Smoking away. It's absolutely
he's just
brilliant.
doing all these insane flips, and he's just you briefly touched on it, Rob. One of the things I noticed about this is how funny the editing is. The way they use the music, and there's a lot of sudden cuts where it just goes from, the music just stops dead and it cuts to another scene and it's just a joke, and it's a really good joke. That happens a lot in it, and it's just cut really well. And this is why the whole filmmaking is poor, is absolute bollocks criticism. It's just
It
not
really
true
is
at
bad,
all.
that.
It's just not true at all. I mean, this scene alone is lit so well and shot so well. And then, obviously, at the end of the pastiche thing, it just turns into this obscene Mac and me fall down a hill.
It's... No, it
47 seconds it takes for him to fall down that.
It's so
in an
good.
87-minute movie. A minute is of him falling down a
even
hill.
No, but just it's the cut. So there's the needle drop, obviously, of the song, and then there's the needle lift when he goes. Oh, God, I'm gonna have to be profane again, aren't I? But shit, as his leg hits the lock, and he flips down the. And it's in silence. And for a film about a stuntman who's not really a stuntman, the stunts in this film are amazing.
They really
They're
are.
all absolutely incredible. Yeah. So there was a poor stuntman who is flipping, ragdolling down this hill over and over and over, through woods, through trees, through all sorts, bouncing off rocks.
So
It's
well done,
unbelievably
though.
bad. It's so good. But this was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Right up there. Not much will. Yeah,
While
not
we're
much is going to get
sort
near
of
it.
discussing as well, like the quality of the filmmaking, so the cinematographer on this film is a gentleman called Andrew Dunn, who has won not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 BAFTAs, including Best Cinematography for The Madness of King George. Now, four of them granted are TV BAFTAs for Best Cameraman or whatever, but he's a BAFTA-winning cinematographer.
Yeah. Wow. It's just, I mean,
wow.
I have no problems with the way this film. It's a really well made movie. And it looks great, and that was obviously the scene where it was like, come on, show us how you won these awards, please.
Can you do like Tony Scott shafts of light through trees? Yeah. Of course I can.
Yeah.
Yes, I can.
That's where 20 million of your 25 million budget is going to go on this one scene.
Sorry, I've just seen Joe Matacombe is 46.
Yeah,
Even older.
he's actually older than Andy Samberg, even though he plays his younger sibling in this.
But how are they doing this?
How
The
them
Fountain of
two
Youth is
nearly 50, they just do not look it at all.
No, it's amazing.
Crazy.
Absolutely amazing. So yes, the plot sort of develops from there. He's going to raise $50,000.
Yeah.
For what the. Oh, sorry, I know we're diving it, but with comedy films, it's so hard to keep.
We don't just want to repeat the jokes because we can't do them.
No, and
as
it's so hard to do just repeat the narrative as well, because obviously there's only a handful of narrative beats in this. So there is a unbelievable character at the end, because he's going to do this jump to raise $50,000. And it's going to be sponsored by an AM radio station who the main host is just unbelievable.
Chris Parnell.
Chris Parnell, yes. Yeah. So, Rod is trying to earn an amount of money for a conveniently priced surgery.
It's just funny, but again, a really low-key joke that it's going to be broadcast on AM radio.
It's brilliant.
They're not live streaming it. It's not on normal radio. Just AM radio.
And the gag on the TV, like, we would have bought you the footage, but I'm afraid rights are with AM radio. Some AM radio station. He obviously, during this period, he meets Denise, who is Isla Fisher.
Yeah.
Who again is brilliant in this, and she's like, her comedic chops we know are brilliant, but she's just super in it as well, and I think they make a sweet enough pair. But she's going out with Ace in the Hole, Will Arnett,
Joe Blue,
Lego Batman.
So
he's so good. He's one of
babe.
Babe!
No, babe!
Honestly, he's got the rarest comic timing. In that, it's so good. Honestly, I think he's one of the great comic actors ever. Will Arnett.
He is.
I do. He is.
One of my favourite ever GIF things is that bit from Arrested Development where he's doing his magic. And he's got the knife in his mouth, and he's just with his cards, and he's dancing around. He is too funny. And then when they're in the when he does that double date with him because he's trying to make Denise jealous, and he just asks the girl out at the in the burger place, who Dave is madly in love with, and he's just like, he just goes, I'm now raging with jealousy over here now, after he asks that girl out. And then he sees his mate in the crowd, and he's like, he's like, Sullivan. Is that Sullivan? That's Sullivan, you chode. I need to punch you in the dick.
great to hear the word chode in the movie. Yeah,
it's too funny.
But it's all it licks along really quickly. Obviously, at 85 minutes, it's gonna.
Yeah.
But it's very funny, and like the narrative direction and strands are off trodden, aren't they? You know, like the redemption arc of a guy with a skill, you know, or he's doing a job and he loses confidence in that job, but now he's got a reason to build confidence in that job, and he's going to do it, and he does do it.
With the help of his friends.
With the help of his friends.
There's a moment where he loses faith and doesn't want to do it anymore, and he falls out with his faith. It's all, you know.
I mean, when he gives up on his dreams and he just goes to being a regular dude, and it's just like a denim shirt with a terrible tie and his hair combed.
Is that the bit where he goes? I used to be legit, too legit to quit. But now I am unlegit, and now I must quit.
That's an example of the dialogue just being so good. It's like and nodding to the audience that will get it. You know, like,
and he's doing like the hand gestures as he's
like no, this isn't directed at like. This is why. What's the point in some stuffy critic from somewhere reviewing this? It's not aimed at them at all.
Well, they're not going to know MC Hammer lyrics, are they?
It's not. It's not for them to. Funny. You know, and for them to say this is bad filmmaking, that's atrocious. We've discussed that it's atrocious. Yeah. But like, these jokes are landing with me watching it. You know, today and yesterday, everything was landing, and I was crying and hurting.
Absolutely. You know, so it's quite interesting. There's a quote here that I've got from Sandberg about the sort of performance. So Sandberg aimed for a performance that was bad, but you know it's bad. There's a lot said about how this is the nerdy generation and it's internet driven. The comedy that's influenced me has always been that. From the Three Stooges through Steve Martin in The Jerk and Ace Ventura and Chris Farley and Billy Madison. They were village idiots. That's definitely the tradition we're trying to follow here. So it's exactly in that sort of wheelhouse of comedy.
Giving Billy Madison a nod.
Exactly. Oh, he's a huge Sandler guy. They all are on SNL. They all love Sandler. Yeah. So that's
superb.
What he's doing is entirely intentional, and he has thought about it. He's not just some goofball who's turned up on the set and just started to act like an arse.
Yeah. No. It's but.
Exactly.
But like I thought they made like, so I kept thinking about what was the day like on set when he's there, you know, and it's the morning of the jump and he's doing Tai Chi on the edge of a lake and some fisherman starts putting oil on his body.
That's got to be a Roadhouse reference, surely.
Yeah, sure.
He's got the bandana on and he's doing Tai Chi.
It's so funny.
Covered in baby oil.
It's just that he comes over and starts rubbing his body.
When I was reading the reviews of it, a lot of the negative reviews kept saying like, "Oh, the joke of him being a bad stuntman gets old really quickly," and then it's like, "Oh, it's." They were also saying as well, like it's just a series of sort of skits in this really threadbare narrative, but it's like, yeah, but. They're all really funny skits, and it goes on
they really
throughout the whole film. Like every scene has got something that's really funny. Even just every moment it cuts back to Danny McBride, and I believe it's all improvised whenever it's happening. So there's one where he's just there like high-fiving the two of them for ages.
Danny McBride doing his best not to swear in everything because it's PG-13.
He's doing that, and then he just does that, and then finishes and goes, and that is how it's done. And that's it. It's really funny.
There's also a bit where he's talking about
wizards. I had that dream again where I went in there, I had to kill 10 wizards, and then the wizard wives wanted to sleep with me, which was pretty weird.
And if you watch that carefully, you can see that Bill Hader is doing his best not to ruin the take.
Is he? Oh, yeah. I love that stuff. There's the moment at the end. Right. Well, obviously there's the riot.
Oh my god!
So they start walking down the street.
So funny.
On the way to Rod's jump. And the song is The Voice.
The Voice by John Farnham.
That's it, John Farnham. Yeah, what a song! but everyone starts singing it
The
as
shot-
they follow him down the street, and it devolves suddenly into a riot. And they're all like, "Whoa!" You know,
There's a brilliant shot where like they just start singing. It's like this low angle camera on a track going across. It's like three people. You know, they're like almost lined up like it's like an army advert or something. Like chests out, just going like singing the song. And then
It's
a guy
so
throws a bin in a window and it just kills the song, and it's just this horrendous riot. And they run off and they're like, "Oh my god, was that us? Was that because of us?"
And then, you know, and like there's that like, wow, a riot. You know, it's terrible what happened back there. And Danny McBride is like, he's holding a telly while going, "Yeah, these people, people will take advantage of a situation."
It's like, the only thing you could do in that situation is get out of there and run away and nothing else, and don't do anything else. And he's just holding the TV.
But also, it's not just, it's like an old boxy television. You know, it's like a really.
Hey, they were all the rage in 2007. I had one in my room at university.
A VHS combi telly.
Yeah.
Was it a VHS? Oh, so
You
good.
forget how
They
long
were
ago
amazing.
2007 was. There was no
I
flat
know.
screens.
Yeah.
But it's
No,
a,
you're right.
it's
You're
a,
absolutely right.
I think the hit rate. There are a few jokes in it which are funny. Of course, not every joke lands, but God, most of them do. Really, most of them really.
They really do.
land.
I can't remember many that don't land. Actually.
The only one I can remember what didn't for me was when he's trying to get Denise into the group, and then he goes like, "Oh, you've got to do the initiation," and then he just pours his drink over her feet, and then that's it. It's like, that was the only example I can remember.
Yeah,
like,
no,
that's
I
not
agree with
not
that.
that funny, but. God, it's a good hit rate for the rest of it. When
Yeah.
Dave drops acid and he's just got some metal stuck in his eye, and Rod has to take. That's like the bit where they get back together, isn't it? Because they're all separated at that point.
Yeah.
And then Dave needs his help because he dropped some acid. He got some metal in his eye.
So fun. Such a good film.
Apparently a true story. Bill Hader's mate happened to Bill Hader, and Bill Hader was the driver in that situation where his mate rang him up and he had to take him to the hospital because he sheathed some metal in his eye after doing some...
No.
Yeah, Bill Hader story, apparently. The trivia's great on this film. And you can tell a film like this is mostly going to be improv, isn't it? Like, a lot of it will be improv.
Must be.
Especially with these actors as well. I just think it's mad how stacked the supporting cast is. Like, and I know you guys, you haven't watched Barry or the Righteous Gemstones, which are both shows that are run by Bill Hader and Danny McBride, respectively. But the filmmaking chops put into these comedies that are so cinematic as well. Like, those two guys have got real cinematic chops, and they're just like the two doofuses in.
Yeah, but I did start to watch Barry. Is it still on knocking around on Now TV? Because I need to pick that back up again. Because
it's just finished now. It's 4 seasons, and some of the action that Bill Hader directs in that, I don't think he's going to be a comedy actor moving forward. I don't think he's got any interest in doing that. I think he wants to be a filmmaker, and make horror and action films and things like that with a comedy bent to them that he might put himself in. But yeah, I always love watching him on screen because he's just such a naturally funny guy, and the same with Danny McBride as well.
Yeah, they're both great, and it's kind of a interesting sort of conspiracy corner, perhaps. If you brought this film out now with these 4 guys having the careers they've now got, would it be seen more favourably by critics? Because at the time they wouldn't really have known who they were outside of Saturday Night Live.
Yeah,
and they wouldn't have earned their stripes to be like, "Oh, these guys are great. Let's, I love these guys. Yeah. I'll laugh at anything they do." But at the time they didn't have that, so that's why they're just like, "Oh, this is," because I'm sure when Jim Carrey first came out, everyone was... I can guarantee, Pet Ace Ventura's got terrible reviews, or Happy Gilmore had terrible reviews when it came out. And then all these years later, you see what careers they've had, and you're like, well, they were the films what made these people, and when you watch them back, they're, really genuinely funny movies.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I wonder if that is the case of Hot Rod, and it is unfortunate that Sandberg isn't as big as like as a Sandler or a Rogan, and Bill Hader and Daniel O'Brien have arguably surpassed him now as well. But yeah, it's just interesting to see whether it would be treated differently if it came out now. Seeing
I'll tell you
the
one
career
thing. It wouldn't go to cinemas. It would be straight to streaming because they don't make comedies.
Yeah,
they don't make comedies for cinemas anymore.
Well, like I said, that's what happened with Palm Springs, wasn't it? Like that went down really well. Everyone loved that. It was really well.
But yeah, no theatrical. I mean, obviously the pandemic had something to do with that. But
yeah, of course.
But it wouldn't have done well at the box office. Not a chance, because nobody goes to watch comedies anymore at the cinema. I'm trying to think of the last like really big studio comedy that did really well, that wasn't sort of folded into being part of a superhero film or a thriller or an action comedy. And honestly, I think you've got to go back to like Bridesmaids or something like that, which is like 10 years ago.
Well, that recent one with Jennifer Lawrence, that didn't do too well, did it? I don't think.
No.
Which apparently it's really good.
Yeah.
But that's the first comedy I can remember having a theatrical release.
Yeah, and it's probably only got a theatrical release because it's got an Academy Award winning super
and it's
A-list actress and
big comeback as well, isn't it, for her as well? I think, what was that one with Bill Hader in with that comedian? Amy Schumer. That was a good one.
That's good. That's an Apatow one. So that's
is that Trainwreck? Is that one?
Yeah. I don't think
that's
it was
really
a huge hit, but it was good, and like Hader was really good as like a sort of a nerdy romantic lead in that, which was very enjoyable.
I do like that one. That's good. I also love that Seth Rogen one with Charlize Theron in it. I think that's really good.
Yes, that was really good as well. And again, didn't do very well, but like Seth Rogen has like branched out now. He's like, I'll do the Fabelmans with Steven Spielberg, or I'll be in the Steve Jobs movie with Danny Boyle. Like he's sort of like added more strings to his bow. Like the pure comedies, like Steve Carell, for instance. When was the last time he actually made a comedy?
Yeah, no, it's
now
very
he's a
true.
serious actor.
But I think it's I think comedy is one of the hardest things to pull off.
It is,
to be honest. I think if you're a good comedian, I think it's really underrated how. I feel it's a lot more difficult for a comedian to go in. A dramatic actor to be a comedian is a lot more difficult than the other way around. Absolutely. I think if you can do comedy, you can do dramatic acting. Of course you can.
Yeah.
But I think the other way around, I'm not sure that is the case. And that's why you get like people like, even like wrestlers, like John Cena coming out, and he's brilliant comedy actor, like really good comedy actor. And the same with Batista, like great comedy actor. Now he's doing dramatic stuff, and you're like really, really good. So it's just, I think it's quite weird how comedy is seen as this sort of like stupid village idiot type thing, but it's like no, it's a real skill. Yeah. It's a real hard skill to make people laugh and make people laugh consistently. And this film does that for 80 minutes of its 85-minute runtime.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
I do agree with everything. I think we've managed to have a much more highbrow, interesting chat about.
For Hot Rod, imagine that.
For Hot Rod,
Well, can we discuss how it's actually about a man's search for himself growing up in a toxically masculine household, and how he can only claim dominance by beating the crap out of his silly father?
I love it. We get to it.
Anyway, he does the jump. He fails it, but he gets the 50 grand anyway, and then he beats the shit out of Lovejoy.
He does, yeah. And the music is absolutely sensational throughout, and the town get behind him, and it's mega. All of it's mega, but he stacks it monstrously. But when he's at the top of the, I know this probably is under a best bits bit, but when he's just about to do the thing, and he's like, "Voices of the Animal Kingdom." Barn owl, like fox, and the little house cat. And they combine on it like that day on set again. I'm like, how do you go about this? This is what we're gonna do now. Like, how do you convince people?
stupid jokes like that are just my humour.
yeah.
Like, spirit of a bottlenose dolphin.
So good. And yeah, they have this outstanding fight and at a family barbecue, and
he's got a ninja style.
yeah,
and
then it finishes with him giving, "You're a man," you're a man, and Sandberg turns him around and gives him, looks like, is it the like a punch to the heart?
It's a Tai Chi move
It's
that
the
will
Tai
make
Chi
you
move
crap
to
your
make
pants.
shit yourself.
And the film ends on a freeze frame of Andy Samberg celebrating. It's Ian McShane in the background crapping his pants.
And the
Very
movie
funny.
finishes again with a roaring soundtrack. So, what are your best bits, fellas?
Oh, too many. Too many.
I mean, I think the obvious ones are sort of like, obviously, the dancing in his quiet place and the riot are superb. But to pick out a little more obscure one, so when they're meeting the DJ from the AM radio show, and he shows them his tattoo, which is absolutely outstanding. So if I can... So he's got like this terrible tattoo of a little man sort of urinating on an FM radio. And then another stream going out to the side, and how he said he's got some. What I like to think is that he had sex the night before, and there's some residue left in his urine, which is making a second stream shoot off to the left onto a television, and then as you can see it, then he pans up to his chest, and there's an AM radio that's absolutely.
I think some of his lines, Chris Parnell's lines during that, were unbelievable.
It's a crucial part in these types of movies. So if you remember Dodgeball, you had Jason Bateman and is it Andy Cole? Not the striker.
Outstanding.
Michael Cole, the wrestling. Is it Michael Cole?
Oh, what's his name now from... that's going to annoy me. Let me just quickly look it up. Anyway, they have the commentators during the Dodgeball tournament, and them guys are brilliant, just sending out zingers over and over again. Like, I've seen the pyramids of Egypt. I've seen a grown man satisfy a camel, but I've never seen anything like this before.
I love that because the bit where like when he kisses Denise at the end, and then it goes to him, and he's like, "I'm not saying that kiss was hot, but if the Boner police were here, I'd demand a lawyer."
Gary Cole, Cotton McKnight. Chris Parnell comes in and just has about 3 scenes and is incredibly funny in all of them.
Yeah, I find that hard not to agree with that being my favourite, to be honest.
Very, very good.
Si, what about your favourite bit?
Very good. There is just too many. I do love the his little song when he's about to go on his date. He's on his little
Isn't it underrated that he just like drives one of those little mopeds that like the Uber Eats guys drive around?
What's the little song he's got? Where it's like, when you're going on a date and you put on a shirt and you ride a bike to the day. So good. Just that improv stuff. But I love the whole bit, like after his first fight scene with Frank, which is just brilliant, and he's like ultimate punch, where he goes to kick him. And he's got ultimate punch. But then, so because he loses that fight, he has to take out the trash, and it just cuts to him to taking out the rubbish. And then he goes off screen and then just legs it back on. Tries to slam dunk the thing, but just misses it completely and falls in the bush. And then he's just like, nailed it. And then from that, there's another bit where he's chatting to Denise and she comes round, and then as she's walking off, he goes like, you look pretty. And then she goes, oh, sorry, what? And he goes, you look shitty. Good night, Denise. And then he runs off. There's just too much stuff. All the bits with Danny McBride when it cuts back to him and he's just chatting absolute nonsense.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, shitheads! I just found this bag of fireworks in the toilet. Would you like to see me set them off? So good.
I find it hard to answer this because I think the default answer will always be The Quiet Place in the Woods because of my love of Footloose, but just how good this pastiche was. But I'm also going to say Cool Beans. So we're cool.
Such a
cool
random
beans.
thing.
Cool beans.
Cool beans.
Cool beans.
Cool beans. Cool beans.
How do you approach this and say we need money to make this bit? How do you do that?
What doesn't it say on the trivia thing that they wanted to cut it out, but then Sandberg went off and edited it, so that's why it's got all those weird edits in. And then he was like, "No, this is really funny if you do it like this." And then he was like, "Oh yeah, that is pretty funny." And then he put it back.
Really? That's so good. Yeah. I didn't know that. It was amazing. So yeah, Hot Rod FYR for your reconsideration. Say will go last, as is per our custom, because you picked it. Jane.
Yeah, so it's a very silly film in which an obnoxious, talentless man-child pursues a career that he is not qualified in any way for. I mean, when you put it like that, it actually pairs quite well with the King of Comedy, which we did last time.
Yeah, it does, actually.
So, filled with tons of gags, pratfalls, and 80s pop culture references, it's the sort of comedy that works incredibly well for the demographic it is aimed at, i.e. older millennials who have a passing understanding of who John Farnham and Europe are, so that's us. If you are older or younger than that, it probably isn't going to work quite as well, but it's a great vehicle for Sandberg's brand of Arrested Development that made me laugh throughout. Plus, 88 minutes long, can't go wrong, really.
Yeah.
You really can't. This had jackpot written all over it, actually. I'm a sucker for a great soundtrack. This soundtrack was, I know I keep mentioning it, but seriously, it's so good. I loved it. Totally loved it. First watch, obviously, love Lonely Island, love Sandberg, Tacome, and Schaefer, and so it was not going to be a tough one in that sense. But oftentimes, though, you never know how a comedy's going to land with you. This landed in just the right way. 88 minutes as well, outstanding. And I laughed all the way through. Like, no breaks, all the way through. Everything landed. It was super. So if you've not seen it, and I would totally agree with what James said about us being in the right demographic. If you're between the ages of, 33 and 45. No, let's go with 46 because that's how old Akiva Schaffer and Joe Matacoma are. So, yeah.
Crazy.
If you're between those ages, you will dig this.
What I would add as well is it's not one of those comedies that's sort of, when you watch comedies back from the 2000s, you go, "Oh, that's not on nowadays." There's nothing like that in there at all. Or I didn't notice or any. Maybe it's because it's PG-13 rather than. But even like Dodgeball has a couple of things like, "Oh, you wouldn't say that."
Yeah.
Nowadays.
But that's why I love those guys. They don't rely on stuff like that. They don't rely on crass.
Yeah.
It's not crass humour, is it? It's all inclusive humour.
It is.
That's everyone's in on the joke. It's not singling out anyone. It's not taking the piss out of people. It's just everyone is in on the joke together. As stupid as it may be.
Sandberg's always the biggest goofball out of all of everybody who's in there. Whenever he's front and centre, he's always the biggest idiot who's on screen.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
No, you're right, and also he's poking fun at himself all the time. Like I kept you when you were saying that, Si, I was thinking about the song he did with Pink on, "Not Gay," not gay. He's poking fun at himself and people of that attitude all in one great big go. It was absolutely brilliant. But so, what about you, Si? I mean, how do you feel about Hot Rod now?
It's rubbish. No, it's obviously not the most highbrow or sophisticated comedy film going. I do think it's a lot smarter than people give it credit of. I really do.
Elevated
I
comedy.
do think it's got some. Well, I'd seen it twice because I actually watched it a couple of weeks ago when we were supposed to do the record, but something happened, so we couldn't do it. And I forgot. I was like, I need to watch it again, so I watched it again this morning, and I was like, I just noticed way more jokes, and just it was even better like the second and third time round. It's one of those you can just stick on, like Superbad, like like Austin Powers, like Ace Ventura, like Happy Gilmore. You can just put them on whenever and still get the same amount of laughs out of it the whole time. Unlike films like Knocked Up and, Foot Your Over, they're about 2.5 hours long, those films, so I'm not really going to be clambering to watch them again. As good as they are, I just think this is in one of those films. But I think the reason why this is so good is the brilliance of it is all in the delivery of the absurd nature of it all, and it's just also spot on. A really funny, well-executed comedy edit that's pulled in with some brilliant 80s synth that just works together just so well. And then, of course, you've just got this great bunch of SNL talent that completely clear the buses and nail the landing, unlike Rod Kimball. But I just love it. I think it's brilliant. I do prefer it to Popstar, I have to admit. As much as I love Popstar, I do think this one edges it because I just think the jokes are just never ending and really.
I think
really
it's
funny.
better than Popstar as well. Actually.
Yeah, I do think it's better than Popstar. So yeah, if you haven't seen it and you are in our age, please watch it. If you have seen it, watch it again. It's really good and it really still holds up and it's still really funny and not offensive in any way, which is commendable that they didn't rely on pot shots to get jokes 20 years ago or however long ago it was.
Superb. Another winner for us here on the podcast. Thanks a lot, fellas, for discussing Hot Rod tonight. Next time out, it is me, I think.
Oh, it's you. It's you, Rob, yeah.
Right.
You, Rob,
so
yeah.
we're going to go and look
Read an erotic Bigfoot novel. Is that what...
Diary of Bigfoot's Weenus is the next... No, it's not what it's called. What is a weenus, anyway?
Hey, I didn't sign up for this.
We're going to do one of the hardest films ever to find. And we've been trying to do this for ages and ages because of just how hard this film is to find. So we're going to do James Wan's Kevin Bacon vehicle, Death Sentence. Next time out,
lovely.
because I think it's wildly underrated.
Yes.
And I look forward to discussing it with you chaps next time out. Guys and gals, I have got no idea where you can watch this. Absolutely none.
I found it in a charity shop. That's how I bought it.
It's a toughie, this one.
I got it off eBay. If you go to Music Magpie, they've got quite a few copies of it, so you can buy that directly from eBay or from directly, I should say, rather from Music Magpie. And then charity shops, CEX, those types of places will probably have a copy in stock.
It'll be in there for like £2.
Yeah, superb. So Death Sentence next time out. Please join us for that one. Give us your 5 stars on your subscription service of choice. Chat us up on the Twitters. Let's have a nice natter. Cheers, boys. Thanks for everything. Lovely to see you as always.
That was such a formal finish. Lovely to see you, Rob, as well.
I know, yeah, sorry.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you. Thank you for hosting so excellently, as always. I really enjoyed the intro this week,
thanks,
actually. It was good.
Yeah, a real 8 out of 10 this week.
Thank you.
Keeping it realistic. Don't want to give you a 10 out of 10.
What
Can't give you
was
10 out of 10. You get 2 big V boots.
mildly recommended?
Much like
mildly recommendable.
Pregnant Bigfoot lady sex book. Sorry, that is not a good title, is it?
Is there not one called Spooging Sasquatch?
Oh, dear.
What was it? Ravaged by my handsome Sasquatch fireman. Hot cryptids with sexy jobs #1. Fucking
sexy job.
I just can't believe they just used a baboon's head on this.
I know.
On this book art.
I really want to get to the bit in the series where they cover the Alabama Frogman. Because is he a sexy cryptid? I've got no idea.
What would his job be? Alabama Frogman. Government worker. Traffic warden.